Welcome to Healing Minds, a place where you explore your inner world and learn healing practices to a better mental well-being. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Healing Minds. This is a place where you learn healing practices for depression and anxiety. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I also talk about other related mental health topics because it is a topic that is important. In today's video, I am going to talk about CBT. You might have heard CBT from different forms of therapy, and what it stands for is cognitive behavioral therapy. This is one excellent form of therapy to help you with your triggers, because when you're going through depression and PTSD, you definitely want to learn ways to handle these triggers that will show up at any time unexpectedly. So CBT is a style of psychotherapy that focuses on modifying your dysfunctional emotions, attitudes, and your thoughts by questioning them and challenging the negative or irrational beliefs. So what CBT is, it's a solutions-oriented conversation therapy that you have with your therapist, and it is founded on that your ideas and your perceptions influence your behavior. So again, CBT can help with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Always seek the help of a professional licensed therapist that specializes in CBT. And I do have a link in my description where you can find a therapist and get online therapy with this mode of therapy. So depression carries a lot of emotions with it. And definitely one of the emotions is being upset. When you're upset or extremely depressed, in another video I shared the 3 stages: mild, moderate, and severe. Of course, the worse the depression is, the harder it is for you to get a hold of your emotions and have clear or positive thought processes. So being upset does affect your perception of reality in certain scenarios throughout the day. So CBT aims to identify these harmful thought processes that you have, and in depression they do reoccur, and assess if they are a genuine picture of reality, because depression does distort your thinking about certain situations. And if it doesn't, if your thought processes isn't genuine picture of reality, then you'll learn through therapy of methods of how to confront and overcome it. So another way to describe cognitive behavioral therapy is that emotional problems are the result of erroneous or unhelpful perceptions. So when you're depressed, there is so much going on, and depression is very complex and it varies from person to person. And when you have these unhelpful perceptions, they cause or stir a lot of emotional turmoil in the mind where you feel trapped at times. And with depression, you can feel trapped and you don't know how to get out of this repetitive thought cycle. And again, the key is repetitive, because certain situations and thought processes you will find when you're going through depressed cycle, they do repeat. So these judgments that you have, that you're thinking of, it causes you to have so much emotional pain, and this emotional pain that you have brings out certain behavioral responses, which have unexpected effects. And with depression, those behavioral responses a lot of times can be negative or harmful to you, you're actually doing more damage to yourself than more good. And again, depression is complex and it takes a lot of different ways or strategies to help you. And this is one form of therapy to help you strengthen your judgments about whether it's about, well, in this case, we're talking about people and situations. Of course, it can be judgments about yourself also. Cognitive behavioral therapies often seek to determine how you perceive a triggering event. So this is one aspect of CBT, which is called cognitive appraisal, which is used in situations where you are creating thoughts based on a situation which you clearly do not know the thought processes of the people involved or whether their intention is good or bad, but you're basing it on your experience, the way you think, and your belief system, and sometimes that can be deceptive and make you feel worse. So this is what you are trying to avoid. You are trying to avoid looking at situations and interpreting them in a bad or negative or destructive way, which actually aggravates your depression, anxiety, making you feel worse. And sometimes when you feel worse, you get in that downward spiral and it's hard to get back up, or it takes a lot of effort to get out of that situation again. So through therapy, you're going to understand your thoughts about the triggering event. You're going to get help from the therapist on how to revise your judgment to make it more useful to you and to create more balanced way of thinking. So what you're going to do also in therapy is experience with different kinds of behaviors or strategies of ways to cope that are better for you. So what does this all look like? What does the cognitive model of how you interpret events that can cause you a lot of distress look like? Well, one example, there's numerous, and I'm sure you can think of an example right now. For example, you have a good friend or a good family member, and they have dismissed you or completely have ignored you and not responded to you when you were going through a crisis, a challenging event. They didn't call you, they didn't ask if you need help. So you immediately go through that thought cycle of them being mean, not compassionate, no empathy, they're insensitive, they're horrible people. And going through these thought processes, it's already making your bad situation worse. So you're feeling worse, and going through this thinking is making you even feel worse. And you can be thinking of that over and over, day after day or week after week. And then you can think of like, oh, how could they have done this? I offered them support, I helped them, they weren't there for me. Again, these are these thought processes that affect your depression level and makes you feel worse and makes it harder for you to handle your situation or to give yourself self-compassion. And a healthier approach when you go through therapy, eventually, when you get to that point, because sometimes it takes a while to get to that point, is you can come to think of it as, oh, maybe they're overwhelmed with their life and it's hard for them to help someone else when they can't even help themselves, or they can't see somebody else struggle because it's tough for them to see somebody else struggle, or you come to the conclusion of they're not a good friend or a family member in the first place, and why didn't I recognize this before? So you're glad that you cut ties with them. So there's different thought processes of what can help you and what cannot. And again, if you are interested in this form of therapy, I do have a link in the description box for the comfort of your own home. You get to select a professional therapist with CBT that can help you with your personal situations. And you do get a 20% discount, which is a great offer. So let me give you an example of what a therapy session might entail. So let me give you an example of a CBT model. So let's look at a cognitive model and what will happen in therapy. First, you're going to talk about the event. What happened to you? And in depression, certain situations will repeat itself, and your response can be responding whether to the trigger or the situation can be highly toxic to yourself or emotional until you get a grasp of it and you go through the healing stage or become easier. So you talk about the event, what happened. The next step is your interpretation of the event, or the appraisal stage, we call it. How did you interpret what happened and what meaning did it have for you? And your interpretations of the situation is always dependent on your experiences, and 2, your beliefs. So we all have different belief systems, and we all have different experiences. So this can be your history of experiences that's kind of related to or connected to the event that's making you feel worse, which is you're going to discuss your emotions and body sensations. How did this situation make you feel? Did it make you feel anxious? Did it make you feel angry? Did it worsen your depression or frustrated? So you talk this out with your therapist. And your behavior. What did you do? How did you react to the situation? Did you get defensive? Did you start ruminating about other similar situations? Did you start avoiding certain person? Did you act out? You discuss your behavior. And then after you go through this whole situation, personal situation that happened to you, you're going to talk about more effective ways, if this were to happen again, of how to handle it. Because again, certain situations with people will repeat itself, and how you can eliminate it or find more useful, productive, positive ways to handle this by coming up with different behavior patterns to help you. So again, with CBT, it is important to talk with your therapist of what are these unresourceful or bad thoughts and beliefs that keep reoccurring to you, and it is very hard for you to deal with in your environment, or dealing with certain people or situations. So you're going to talk and discuss about your maladaptive thoughts and what you can do in the same situation and how to make it more effective and to help you out.